Hey YouTube, man, it's your boy TJ, man. We got another video, man. We got meet the most unstoppable player ever. That boy AD. Damn, that boy got a big ass neck, man. Let's get into the video. Damn, that boy neck huge as
From
fuck.
2018 to 2023, he was double teamed on over 40%
That
of his
boy
pass
AD
rushes.
definitely a Hall of Famer for sure. I wish he would have played longer though. But shit.
An absurd 33 more than the next closest defender. He made quarterbacks panic.
This nigga definitely fun to watch though, boy.
I just want to talk.
Offensive lines collapse, and fans, well, they just watch the chaos unfold. Donald wasn't just strong. He was explosive, smart,
my
and
God.
he played like the quarterback personally insulted him before kickoff.
Hey, be smart. I almost threw. Be smarter than that. Don't throw him down.
This
What?
was a
What you said? You said don't
Be
throw him
smart.
down?
I almost threw. Be smarter than that. Don't throw him down.
What you mean don't throw him? See, this the soft shit I be talking about. What you mean don't throw him down? Nigga, this football, nigga. This is a grown man sport. What you mean don't throw him down? You can't tell me the refs didn't favor Tom Brady.
And this was a guy who was once
Can't
told
tell
that he
me
was
that.
too short, too light, and didn't fit the mold of an
Talking about
interior
don't throw him
defensive
down.
lineman.
Nigga, this football,
Now,
what I'm supposed
he's
to
a
do?
three-time Defensive Player of the Year, a Super Bowl champ, and a future Hall of Famer. But how did he become the most unstoppable defensive player the league has ever seen? And why did he leave the game while he was still so dominant? Aaron wasn't born a Terminator.
I ain't like
In
shocked
fact, as a
when I heard
kid,
he
was a bit
retired,
on the
dog.
lazy
Like,
side.
damn.
He liked sleeping in. He ate too much junk food. And his brother even described him as short.
Short but stumpy. And he ain't have no height.
Damn,
so
he
he
look
kinda
just
blew up
alike,
out of nowhere
boy.
height-wise.
But all that changed when he hit 12 years old,
Them
and his
boy look
dad
just
decided
alike.
it was time to toughen him up. Every morning at 4:30 a.m., they'd hit the basement gym together. It wasn't fancy, just some weights and old equipment, but they trained like it was a pro facility. So by the time he was playing football at Penn Hills High School, Aaron was unstoppable. Sure, he wasn't the biggest, and he didn't have those elite measurables coaches drool over, but he loved the game. He studied film like a pro. He hit the weight room like it was his job. And he started wrecking offensive lines with a rare blend of speed, power,
God,
and
that boy
relentless
AD look
effort.
like he rolling, what?
Aaron Donald caught the 40, a 50.
By the end of Aaron's high school career, though, he was considered a three-star recruit, just average on paper. But paper never told the full story with Aaron Donald. And because of that, he had no buzz with the powerhouse schools and no hype. So Aaron decided to stay local, committing to Pitt. As a freshman, he got on the field early, which is rare for a defensive tackle. And by the time he was a sophomore, he was already making noise. Double-digit tackles for loss, multiple sacks.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, bro. All that freshman salt, that don't mean nothing. Nigga, if you got it or you don't, bro. I'm tired of hearing all that. Oh, he just a freshman, he just a Rick. Nigga, ain't got it or you don't, nigga.
Coaches started to realize this guy,
And he showed
he's
he got it,
different. But
nigga.
it was his senior year in
All that
2013 that
freshman,
changed
you got it or
everything.
you don't, man.
59 tackles, 28.5 tackles for loss, 11 sacks. One of the most dominant defensive tackle seasons of all time. And that season, he won basically every major defensive award. The Bronco Nagurski Trophy, the Chuck Bednarik Award, the Lombardi Award, and the Outland Trophy. At this point, you would think NFL scouts couldn't ignore him. But it was the same old story. Too short, too small, not your prototype
Gotta keep
defensive
on working
tackle.
hard,
In
bro.
fact, he was given a prospect grade of 5.90, meaning he was projected to be an average backup or special teamer at best. But
Wow.
then came the NFL Combine, where Donald
Damn,
ran a
that's
4.68 40-yard dash, put up 35 bench press reps, and showed off freaky agility in the shuttle drills. He ended the Combine as the #1 rated defensive tackle in both production and athleticism score. Because of that, there was one man who was really interested in Donald, Ram defensive line coach Mike Waffle. So,
With the 13th pick,
Telling y'all, it only take one man to believe in you, bro. That's all it takes. And he showed the best of it. Now he was one of the best D tackles that we ever seen in football.
in the
Telling you.
2014 NFL
It just takes
draft,
for somebody
the
to
St.
believe in
Louis
you,
Rams
bro.
select Aaron Donald.
the St. Louis Rams took a chance on the undersized kid from Pittsburgh. But it was a strange pick, because the Rams already had two solid D tackles
That don't
in
matter,
Michael
bro. That
Brockers
don't
and
matter.
Kendall Langford.
That don't matter.
However,
That
by
don't matter.
mid-season, Aaron had
don't
shown
care
that he
nothing about
deserved
that,
the
bro.
starting role. Donald racked up 9 sacks and had 18 tackles for loss
Mhm.
as a
We don't care
rookie.
nothing about
And
who
it
in
wasn't
front of
just
us,
about
man.
the stats either. When you watch the film, you could see it. He was
gotta work.
bullying grown men, beating double teams,
Oh, come on.
and forcing offenses to change their protection schemes. Quarterbacks
I-
started
this
rushing
nigga's
throws,
balling.
and offensive coordinators had to game plan
You got
around
double
a rookie.
team him.
By
Ain't
the
no
end of the
one-on-one
year,
blocking
there was
him.
no debate. Aaron
God,
Donald
no.
was the real deal. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year, made the Pro Bowl, and was already being talked about as one of the most dangerous players in the league.
Is it fair to compare
That's a
Donald
Ricky.
to
That's
NFL
crazy.
legend Hall
That's what I'm
of
saying. All that
Famer
Ricky jump don't mean nothing. You got it, bro.
I kind of think it is.
But for Donald, this was just a warm-up. In his first game of the sophomore campaign, he had 2 sacks and 9 total tackles against the Seahawks. That year, Donald racked up 11 sacks, 22 tackles for loss, and made his second straight Pro Bowl. The Rams were struggling, but Donald was turning into every O-lineman's worst nightmare. Guards were getting embarrassed. Centers couldn't slow him down. And double teams, he treated them like practice drills. But in 2016, Donald would face a new challenge. The Rams announced they were leaving St. Louis and moving back to Los Angeles.
I'm very sad to see him go. I mean, I've been a huge Rams fan my whole life. My dad's been season ticket holder 20 years.
A new city, new fans, and a lot of new pressure.
Hey, Los Angeles, are you ready for some football?
But even
And I'm hearing people saying Jalen Carter better than Aaron Donald. What? Jalen Carter a good player, don't get me wrong. He still got more years to play, but y'all say he better than Aaron Donald? Dude, that's crazy. That's how I knew some of y'all just be casual, bro. Y'all don't really be watching for real, fam.
through all that noise, Donald stayed
Jalen
locked
Carter
in.
better than
He
Aaron.
finished
What?
2016 with 8 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, and led all interior defenders in QB pressures again. By now, scouts, fans, and teams were starting to realize that Aaron Donald might just be the best defensive player in football.
Might
So,
just be.
naturally, you'd think the Rams would lock him up with a big contract, right? Yeah, no. Donald wanted to get paid like the best defender in football. And honestly,
Yes,
he
he
had
should.
every right to ask for it. But the
Yeah.
Rams didn't budge. So he held out, skipped all of training camp.
The Rams' contract dispute with defensive lineman Aaron Donald appears likely to spill over into the regular season.
This now is the supreme challenge to come up with a defense that can be close to what it would have been had Aaron Donald been there.
But then he decided that if the Rams weren't willing to pay him, holding out wouldn't help. He'd have to bet on himself and prove his worth on the field.
Yeah.
And when he returned in week 2 of 2017, it was like he never
See a
left.
lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just would have held out, sit out.
Exploded that.
Like me, fam, like you still get. So I don't understand, but I know, like you still getting paid millions, bro. It don't matter. You still doing what you love, but you still getting paid
He finished
millions,
with
bro.
11 sacks,
A lot of niggas would have
27
sat out.
QB hits, and a ridiculous 91 pressures, more than any other interior lineman by a mile. And remember, he was doing that from the inside while having to face double teams every single week. He wrecked games. He ended drives before they even started. Quarterbacks looked terrified in the pocket. And
I'd
on
be
top of
terrified
that,
of
the
Aaron
Rams
Donald run full
finally
speed
turned
at
the
me,
corner.
boy.
First-year coach Sean McVay showed up. Jared Goff actually looked like the superstar he was expected to be when the Rams drafted him #1 overall a year ago, and the Rams went 11-5, making the playoffs for the first time in over a decade.
They are the words fans have waited years to hear. The LA Rams in the playoffs.
And Donald was the heart of that turnaround. By the end of the season, there was no debate. He was named Defensive Player of the Year. And after a season like that, the Rams finally came to their senses, giving Donald a 6-year, $135 million contract
Damn, he
extension
got that bag. He
with $87
deserved
million
that, dude.
guaranteed.
The
You
Rams
can't-
just made Aaron Donald.
I ain't gonna lie, but you can't let a nigga like that just walk away without getting nothing in return from you. Feel me? Like you just can't let a nigga like that walk away, bro. I ain't gonna lie. You gotta pay that.
The highest paid defensive
You ain't gonna get no
player
better
in
defensive tackle than
NFL
him.
history.
Now, when most players get that
Yeah,
kind of
no.
money, they get comfortable. They coast.
Yeah.
They lose the hunger they once had. But
Yeah.
not Aaron Donald.
Get that
He
money
got
and
the
forget
bag
how they
and then
play.
turned around and had the most dominant season of his career.
Pressure again. And a sack for Aaron Donald.
No,
Most
scratch
they get that
He
bag
had
and just
the most
disappear,
dominant
boy.
season any defensive tackle has ever had.
But you know what it is, though? When people get the bag and disappear because they feel like they ain't got nothing else to prove because they earned their bag. That's how it be. But when they play, the first time they got to earn to get that bag. That's why they be showing up.
Way through the
But this
2018
nigga right
season,
here,
he
though,
went on a stretch where he had
that nigga
9.5 sacks
nigga
in
problem,
5
boy.
games. And he wasn't racking those up against scrubs either. He was blowing up Pro Bowl linemen like they were traffic
Tom
cones.
Brady them and
He
all.
finished 2018 with 20.5 sacks, which is insane production on its
Good
own.
dub,
But when
20
you remember that
sacks.
he was playing defensive tackle, not edge rusher, that number is even crazier. Aaron
The-
set an
a
all-time
nose
NFL
tackle
record for
for 20
sacks by an
sacks. That's
interior
crazy.
line. He also racked up 41 QB hits, 25 tackles for loss, and 4 forced fumbles. He was practically living in the backfield. But here's the even more insane part. Donald was double-teamed over 40% of his pass rushes, a trend that would continue all the way to 2023.
What he said?
Over 40% of his pass rushes.
Him over 40%. That's down there 50%. So half of the times he on the field, he getting double teamed. That's crazy, bro. That's really crazy.
A trend that would continue all the way to
Tell you, you know this
2023.
nigga's a problem.
One-on-one, Migo.
amigo, huh?
Teams
You
were
know they
throwing
give you that
everything
one-on-one
at him.
AD.
Guards, centers, chip blocks, extra protection, and he was still winning constantly.
Keenum in trouble. Deep trouble.
By the end of the season, Aaron Donald was once
Damn.
again, no debate, the Defensive Player of the Year. He became one of Aaron Donald was once again, no debate, the Defensive Player of the Year. He
Damn.
became one of only 3 players to ever win the award 2 years in a row, right alongside J.J. Watt and Lawrence Taylor. And while Donald was going nuclear, the Rams were also finding success. With Sean McVay calling plays, Jared Goff slinging it, and Todd Gurley
Yeah,
in
that's when
MVP
Todd
form,
Gurley-
the
I don't know
Rams
what
finished the
happened to
regular
him.
season at 13-3. They battled their way
Probably
through the
got your
playoffs
video on
and
that.
reached
I don't
the
know what
biggest
happened to
stage,
Todd.
Super Bowl 53. Donald and the Rams defense showed up, holding Tom Brady and the Patriots to just 13 points all game. But somehow that wasn't enough, because the Rams offense put up just 3 points, losing the
Just 3
game
points.
13-3. Aaron's daughter was devastated because she didn't get to play in the confetti. And in that
That gotta
moment,
be the
Donald
lowest scoring
felt like
Super
he had let
ever.
her down.
Y'all from say that gotta be the lowest score ever, 13-3. This the Super Bowl. Y'all 2 of the best teams in the league. This the Super Bowl. Both of y'all made it this far just to score 3 points. I would have felt some type of way about that. God
Promised
damn.
her that he would never let that happen again. But in 2019, the Rams regressed, finishing just 9-7 and missing the playoffs entirely.
There hasn't been a lot of conversation about just how bad the Rams have been this year. This is a team that was in the Super Bowl a year ago, that at this point last year looked like the best team in football. Their offense doesn't look right. The quarterback got paid. He doesn't look right. The defense doesn't look good. What's going on with the Rams?
Donald was still fantastic, finishing the year with 12.5 sacks and making his 5th straight All-Pro first team. But it wasn't enough. So he took his game to another level. He came into 2020 with that same terrifying blend of speed, strength, and technique he'd become known for. And once again, he turned the entire league upside down. Donald finished the season with 13.5 sacks, 28 QB hits, 14 tackles for loss, and 4 forced fumbles.
Damn, boy. This nigga
And he led the
crazy.
league in
Back
total
to back
pressures,
to back
too.
to back.
The
10
Rams
plus
defense as a
sacks.
whole was
Every
elite. Jalen Ramsey
you
locking down
don't get no
receivers in
better
the
than that,
secondary,
boy.
and Donald leading the charge up front. They finished as the #1 ranked defense in the NFL, giving up both the fewest points and yards. LA rode their top-ranked defense to a 10-6 record and returned to the playoffs. But without the offense to back them up, they were bounced in the divisional round by the Green Bay Packers. Donald capped off his insane year by winning his 3rd Defensive Player of the Year award.
This is your 3rd Defensive Player of the Year award, which puts you in company with Lawrence Taylor and J.J. Watt.
And just like that, the debate wasn't, is Aaron Donald the best defensive player in the league?
Aaron Donald is the Michael Jordan of football. The gap between him and the next dude that plays his position is so huge, it's unbelievable.
It was, is Aaron Donald the best defender of his generation or of all time?
We got to stop taking him for granted. He may be the best defensive player we've ever seen play in this league. And I know that's saying a lot, but he may be.
No, I ain't
There was
saying a
still
lot.
one thing
Boy, he
missing from his
definitely was the best
resume,
defensive
his
player I've
Super Bowl
seen,
ring.
boy.
The Rams just couldn't seem to get over the hump, and they felt that a change needed to be made at the game's most important position. So, that offseason, they made a blockbuster trade.
Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ, and it is monster news. A blockbuster trade in the NFL.
Rams.
Detroit
When I
is dealing
seen this, I was
Matthew
like,
Stafford
damn.
to the LA Rams in exchange for 2 future first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and Jared Goff.
The Rams were...
Hey, though, but whoever thought the Lions was going to be who they is, though? That's crazy. It looked like that trade worked out for them,
going
though.
all in. And from the moment the season kicked off, Donald played like a man on a mission. He finished with 12.5 sacks, 25 quarterback hits, and over 80 pressures, despite still being double-teamed on nearly every other snap. He set the tone on defense, week in and week out, wrecking pockets, forcing bad throws, and swallowing up the run game.
Where's Aaron Donald left? Tell me when 99's out. Is 99 out? Oh, no, he's right there.
Then you know it's a problem when the coach terrified. The coach not even the one playing, but he know what he capable of, though. That's we got the coach then. Watch out
The
for
stat
99.
sheet barely
boy.
tells the story. You could see his hunger, his leadership, his fire. He wasn't just pushing himself, he was pushing the whole team. New stars came in. Von
boy
Miller.
Von.
Yes, Von Miller headed to the Rams, a deal with the Broncos in which the Rams gave up more draft picks.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Odell Beckham draft pick, man.
just texted Kim Jones Rams. That is about as done as it gets.
Even Sony Michel. The Rams loaded up for the stretch run. But make no mistake, this was still Aaron Donald's team. And when the playoffs came around, he flipped the switch to full Terminator mode. In the wild card round, he bullied the Cardinals' O-line and rattled Kyler Murray all game long. In the divisional round, the Rams went toe-to-toe with Tom Brady and won.
Boots it through.
But then came the NFC Championship, and the Rams ran into their kryptonite, the San Francisco 49ers. It didn't matter how well LA was playing. When they saw that red and gold across the field, things always seemed to go sideways.
Watch Stafford go deep.
Oh my God, what a terrible throw down.
Going into the NFC Championship game, the 49ers had beaten the Rams 6 straight times. They were the one team LA couldn't seem to figure out. And now they stood between Aaron Donald and the Super Bowl. When the Rams fell behind 17-7 in the second half, it felt like yet another story of the 49ers winning. But Donald wasn't having it.
You gotta name something, you. You gotta name something. Everything you got. Everything you got.
He fired him up, and then he led them out to finish the job. In the final minutes, with the Rams up by 3 and the 49ers driving, Donald came through, bullying his way into the backfield and forcing Jimmy Garoppolo into a wild, game-ending interception.
In the air, intercepted by the Rams.
And just like that, the curse was broken.
That was stupid.
But more importantly, the Rams were heading to Super Bowl 56.
Like Garoppolo, like what was you thinking, bro?
Intercepted by the Rams.
Like why would you?
Just like that, the curse was broken. But more importantly, the Rams were heading to Super Bowl 56. After years of waiting to avenge his previous loss in the big game, Donald would finally have his chance. But it wasn't going to be easy.
Aaron Donald is that dude. RC, talk to me. Is it Super Bowl or bust for the LA Rams?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything less is unacceptable. Anything less for the Los Angeles Rams this year is a failure.
The Rams faced the red-hot Cincinnati Bengals, fresh off an insane comeback win over Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So, as expected, the Super Bowl was extremely close down the stretch.
Damn, OBJ. Hey, this is what I'm saying, bro. I feel like OBJ still got something to take. Like, he go to a right team with a good quarterback. He was good for the Rams, but especially in the Super Bowl, but OBJ was going off, boy, before he got hurt. It was, bro, I feel like OBJ would have won Super Bowl MVP if he didn't get hurt in the Super Bowl. I swear. I swear to God.
Both teams held the lead for extended periods.
That's crazy.
Donald is right there.
And in the end, it all came down to one drive.
That Cooper
Rams
Cut
led
touchdown.
by 3.
Eli
The
Apple.
Bengals had the ball. With less than a minute
why
left,
y'all did that. Y'all put Eli Apple.
If Cincinnati converts, they're in field goal range with a shot to tie or win.
Aaron, this is the moment. Right now.
It all came down to this.
For the world championship right here. Aaron Donald's going to make a play.
Burrow trying to keep it going, gets stunned out, gets it away, and incomplete.
Aaron Donald was on top of the football world. He closed out yet another game, and more importantly, he kept his promise, as his daughter finally got her chance to play in the confetti.
We got to play in the confetti today, and we had some fun. She got some in her hand right now.
After being a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, being selected to All-Pro First Team 7 straight times, and finally winning a Super Bowl, Aaron had nothing left.
He really had nothing else to pay for. He had one of the best D tackles in the league. He had the stats. He is 7-time All-Pro. He won him a ring. What else is really to play for? Like, what else?
Proved he was ready to retire. But then Sean McVay gave him a call.
Sean McVay just tapped me on the shoulder. He wanted to know if you were interested in running it back.
Run it back! Run it back!
Just a few months later, the Rams restructured his contract to give him $95 million over 3 years.
He now gets a new contract that, over those same years, can pay him up to $95 million.
Making him the highest paid
And that's like
non-quarterback
$25
in
million
NFL
a
history.
year.
There was no
But D-line,
retire. Come on,
The prime of his career.
That was a negotiation.
But the Rams repeat never happened. Stafford battled elbow issues, Kupp went down with a season-ending injury, and even Donald missed games for the first time in his career after suffering a high ankle sprain. In the 11 games he played, he still put up 5 sacks, 49 tackles, and continued to draw double teams on nearly every snap, as he finished the year with a Pro Bowl selection. But for Aaron Donald, it raised one big question. Was this the end? He'd proven everything, won everything, and now he's dealing with injuries on a losing team. But once again, he didn't walk away.
Run it back! Run it back!
However, this was a completely different Rams team. Jalen Ramsey, gone. Bobby Wagner, gone. Matthew Stafford was healthy again, but no one really knew what to expect from this squad. Some people even said the Rams were rebuilding. But Aaron Donald didn't care. He wasn't there for a farewell tour. He was there to dominate.
I ain't gonna lie about it. I know he loyal to the Rams and all, but for my last season, like when Bobby, Jaden, and them boys left, man, I would have said, man, put me on the team for a contending championship and get you another ring. But he stayed with the Rams, though. A lot of people, for their last season, they probably would have went to a championship contender team.
One last time.
But he loyal to his team, though.
Like that guy. Offenses still double-teamed him at one of the highest rates in the league. And somehow, he still found ways to wreck games.
Oh, my God.
He finished the year with 8 sacks, 16 tackles for loss, and 23 QB hits. Far from washed. In fact, he was back on the first All-Pro team for the 8th time in his 10 years in the NFL. But maybe the most impressive part was that he helped lead a young Rams team that no one believed in back to the playoffs. And even though they lost in a heartbreaker to the Lions, it felt like something special was building again in LA. But for Donald, even though he was still as dominant as ever, this was the end.
I remember before we walked in the locker room, giving Sean with a big smile, a big hug. He said, "That's it." I said, "That's it."
And on March 15th, 2024, Aaron Donald officially announced his retirement with a simple message: I'm complete. And honestly, he was.
10 years, 10 Pro Bowls, 8 All-Pros, 3 Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, ain't really much to play for. He got him a ring. 10-time All-Pro.
2 NFC championships, 3 NFC West championships. Went to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, lost 1. I'm complete.
He changed how teams viewed pass rushing from the inside and made defensive tackles who could pressure the quarterback one of the most sought-after assets in football. With Donald on the field, QBs had no pocket to step up into, completely wrecking their game. And he forced offensive coordinators to game plan around just one man, week after week, year after year. And that's what made him different. It wasn't just that he won matchups, it's that he won impossible matchups. Aaron Donald was the rare player who was admired by literally everyone who watched him work.
And you can this nigga the truth, boy. The best D lineman I ever seen, boy.
He was, without a doubt, one of the most unstoppable defensive players of all time. If you enjoyed this video, stick with...
Well, that nigga was a problem, though. I definitely wish he would have stayed one more year, though, to see what him and Verse would have did. But that would have been crazy, him and Verse. And them boys went to the a game before the Super Bowl. Yeah, he should have stayed one more year. But yeah, man, that's the end of that video. You made it this far. Make sure you subscribe, man. Come on.